Welcome to Eternal Journey, the podcast.
Greetings, all my knights and padawans out there. You are listening to Eternal Journey, the podcast that talks about all things eternal with a focus on limited play. I'm your host, Jedi, and this is episode 85 of the podcast, where we're actually going to be talking about something that most limited aficionados actually tell you not to do, and that is forcing draft decks. And we're going to have a special guest today that is going to help us see the other side of the coin to some serious success, as a matter of fact. But first things first, I want to welcome on the show my good friends week after week, starting with John Holio.
What's up, Jedi and Eternal Journey crew?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I'm excited. We got things going on this weekend. Drafting has been fun. Got to play some Warrior Kilo deck. Threw a YouTube video up on it. We're going to see how crazy people watch my brain melt as I play the deck. But it's been good, man. It's been good. The other third of the podcast crew is the one, the only, the Darth Herman 2. Alex, how you doing, friend?
What is up, my friends? How's it going?
Glorious. All right, and our special guest for the show, member of Team Eternal Journey, a finalist in one of the more recent summer challenges with their own take on At All Cost. I want to welcome on the show IPlongno. What's up, buddy?
What's up, guys? It's me, it's IP.
What's
Here,
up?
being here because Jedi was gracious enough to have me on the podcast.
We're the lucky ones. If you guys do not know, IPlongno is actually one of the top drafters, consistently throwing up some serious numbers to include a lot of time in the top three. We all know, I think top three can kind of be consolidated into the first place because it's pretty much the same three people battling it out for rank one at the end of the month every all guests of this show, actually. So yeah, we finally got a chance to get IP on the show, and something that's extremely interesting and we'll talk about here in a minute is just the fact that IP likes to actually force some draft decks, which a lot of you that might have been drafting for an extended period of time know that that goes against a lot of things that seasoned drafters tell you to do. So that's why we're going to kind of do a deep dive into it, or at least pick IP's brain and find out what the other what it looks like to, you know, do the nuts or go against the grain, if you will. But want to mention a few quick announcements. You can catch us streaming live every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday at twitch.tv/Jedi_EJ, or you can catch our content on youtube.com/EternalJourney, where you can not only find the video version of this podcast, but also various draft videos, various Eternal tutorials, and various constructed tournament runs that I post to win or lose. Then, of course, this leads us into our shout out section where we show some love to the community that supports the show so much. And a couple of no new members this week, so I just want to give an ongoing thank you to all the people that support the show week after week. I really do appreciate it, subbing to the channel and just contributing bits and all that good stuff. Really do appreciate it. We managed to upgrade the video on the stream now, thanks to you guys, so I really do appreciate that. A couple of key members that we're going to give a shout out this week. Mercurial Blue, a big proponent of the entire Eternal community, made 9 months this month subbing to the channel, so they were promoted to Jedi Knight, as well as I'm So Bad and Try and Kill Me both did their 6-month markers, earning their Darth Maul lightsabers. So thank you guys so much for your support. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. But that is the end of our announcements, which means that takes us into our Pack 1 Pick 1. IP, sir, are you ready to break down what your opinion is on this?
I'll do my best.
Outstanding. All right, just to go through these a little quicker now that we have been in this format quite a bit. We have Eager Deputy, which is the 0-1 for 1 and fire, and when you play a unit with more attack than Eager Deputy, she gets +1 attack and Summon Plunder. Grizzly Contest is the Revenge fastball. Lets you sacrifice a unit to kill an enemy unit for 3 to Shadow. Roland's Enforcer, Valley Clan Sage, Monk Innervator, Then we have Smogwig Tinker, the 4/4 for 6 with flying, summon, gain 4 armor. Auric Official is the 1/1 for 4 justice, imbue, surge, +1/+1. And Vorpal Cutter is the 1/3 for 3 shadow, that has decay. When Vorpal Cutter attacks, she gets +1 attack this turn, equal to the highest attack among your units. At the uncommon slot, we have Sage of Sands. This is the 5/5 for 5 time. Summon, you may give another unit endurance and overwhelm this turn. Darkblade Cutpurse is the 2/2 for 2 fire. Overwhelm plus attack equal to your shadow influence. And finally, Trickshot Ruffian is the 1/2 gunslinger for 1 justice. Summon, you may give another unit plus attack and plus health this turn, equal to your justice influence. And finally, at the rare slot, we have the 5/5 for 4 power and 5 justice influence, Telet, the Iron Gate. Surge, your relic weapon gets +1/+1. Enemy units get a -1 attack this turn. All right, sending it over to you first, IP. What are you looking at in this pack, and what would you take?
The rare's good. Talut, the Iron Gate. It forces you to go more justice with its influence requirements. I wouldn't want it to force justice this early in the packs. Shades of the Sands is good. In a vacuum, a vanilla 5/5 for 5, which has an upside of giving a unit endurance and overwhelm for a turn, is a really good deck because it's like a battle trick, and you get a 5/5, really good. Stone Scar, the Stone Scar card, Darkblade Cutpurse, is really good in a Stone Scar deck, but you need to maximize it out to lean hard towards the shadow influence requirements. Like an 8/2 for 2 isn't a laughing matter. Trickshot Ruffian, really good with the Telet synergy. I wish they weren't in the same pack, but to be honest, the power is really in the uncommons. I would really pick Sage of the Sands because it works in any time deck, splashing or not.
Yeah, I can get behind that as well. But before I give my opinion, Alex, what are you thinking is your thought process in this pack?
Pretty much IP said it. Sage of Sands. I thought, like, with the success he's told me he's had with Stone Scar, that it's not this Darkblade Cutpurse, but yeah, no, I'm on the same boat. I don't like forcing Telet this early. I like it as a pack 4 card that you get if you're in that color already. Yeah, Sage of Sands, it goes in every deck. I like it. And you could also use it to break your opponent's imbue. Just remember that. That's a cheeky thing you could do with it.
Yeah, pretty powerful at times as well when it's like Ursine on the other side. That's huge. John, what about you?
I don't have a lot to add. I would definitely go with Sage of Sands in this pack as well. I think if it was pre-nerf Telet, then yeah, I might consider it. But I don't think in his current state he's worth going for here at all. In fact, if I just really like Justice and wanted to try and force it in this pack, I would probably go with the Smogwing Tinker over the Telet even.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? There's a lot of good Justice in this pack, but ironically, minus the Auric Official, the other 3 require you to go heavy Justice. So I think that's why there's such a lean towards Sage of Sands here. It's just the most flexible card. It's only 1-time influence, and it's a 5/5 for 5, which is great across the board. So yeah, I think...
you would even splash for that if you ended up with some fixing and you're not really a time deck. Like, that's a splashable card just because it's a later game card and it's solid and only 1 pip.
Yeah, and also if we are trying to meta the packs a little bit, right? We know that Trailmaker is weighted in packs 2 and 3, which facilitates an easier 2-color or 3-color deck. And so going with a time card early, it's kind of flexible, also sets you up for success in pack 2 and 3 potentially. So yeah, I'm with you guys. It's Sage of Sands here. Just might not be the strongest card in the pack, quote unquote, and even that's pretty arguable. It is pretty strong, but it's the most flexible pick that requires the least amount of your deck for it to be playable. So yeah, and that's exactly what we end up taking. But just something to think about. I like to throw up various packs. Like I try not to, if I can get a very interesting pack one, pick one, I will. But sometimes just stuff that you'll actually open is pretty legit. But all right, that is our pack one, pick one, which means it's time to go into our main topic, which is the exact reason why we have IP on the show. For those of you that are new to drafting, the biggest thing that you will hear drafters say is that you essentially draft what works, what the open lane is, or what your seat is, or the archetype, which is you wait midway through the pack, start to identify what cards are being passed to you in a specific faction. When you see strong, medium to strong cards being passed in a specific faction, that's technically or typically the lane you want to be in. Sometimes it goes with, it's consistent throughout the entire pack, and sometimes it is not. You might see one or two good cards early, and then later on in the mid or late part of the pack, you don't see anything at all, or vice versa. And then obviously seeing a different direction in packs 2 and 3 as different people are passing you those packs. Well, sometimes you'll see, and I've done it on streams sometimes for the entertainment value, where I'll take an interesting rare uncommon, and if there's 2 or 3 picks that kind of facilitate that archetype, then you'll hear me say that I'll force it, which means I am willing to take less or pass up stronger cards to essentially make this specific deck kind of work. That's broad strokes. There's a little more intricacies to it, and that's why we'll have IP talk about it in a minute. So first, let's get an idea of what kind of a draft you are. IP, how often do you draft, and how much does it take for you to get to number 1 and stay up there?
Depends really in the start of if it's in the start of the meta or not. Right now, upon checking, I'm like rank 11 because I haven't played draft that much. Prepping up for this Saturday's summer championship. Like I've been trying to put in like 1 or 2 drafts a day, but usually if I get on a lucky streak, lucky by meaning like I get 5 to 7 wins per draft, I would say average maybe 3 to 7 drafts a day, and that's just me. It depends. Like I can do speed drafting. Like I guess I can draft a whole deck in 10 minutes and just finalizing the deck list in 10 minutes. It works out and it doesn't work out sometimes. Like you can get sub optimal cards and whatnot, but like I really got the number 1 spot for a week last month because I was forcing Combre big stuff with the Omen Scar Worm, and right now I've been having success with various iterations of Stone Scar decks.
That's funny that you say you're picking up a lot of Omen Scar Worms, because I felt like they were in every pack as well. I have no doubt in my mind that Direwolf was just kind of pushing the promotion for their release of Dune soon, and they're like, here, everyone gets a worm. Because for those of you that don't know, there's sandworms in the Dune universe or whatnot. So just a little
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I know, right? Just a slight joke. So all right, so I think that's might be a little bit on the heavier side, because I know our community has a lot of free to play people, and I don't see free to play players essentially drafting 4 or 5 times a day. But I do think that is reasonable for some people. I've been known to fire off that many in a stream if I'm not doing too hot, but obviously you're seeing it to great success. So before we go into specific decks, which we will in a minute, let's go ahead and just take a look back at the bigger picture, and what are some of the things that motivate you to force a deck essentially, or why are you comfortable forcing a deck in this format?
Like me forcing a deck seems like my strategy here. Like I don't really see much of the signals until it's too late. Like when I see two cards of above average power level in like 2 to 3 of those picks in pack 1, like there might be consideration for me just going all the way. Like if I see, I guess, Rust Machine pick 1 pack 1, then I get corrosive daggers in pick 2. I would like to try to force fire in it because you have the synergy there, and there are really factions that are really, really impressive in this format right now. You can try to be as open as you want, but it's not the way I draft. Like, even if I do stream it sometimes in Discord, you can see me sometimes clicking too fast before the opinions of others come in. Like, I just want to get this card. Like, I know, yeah, you have the opinion, and it's a good opinion, and sometimes I may be swayed by that opinion or not. But really, it's like your own intuition if you really want to go into that deck.
Hmm. I understand. There's some slight benefits to that as well because I've seen that in streaming when I am going through my thought process in a pack. Sometimes I end up thinking so much that I run into decision paralysis where I'm making a good argument for 2 or 3 cards and I have a hard time differentiating what's the tiebreaker between them versus when I'm on my own, I kind of make the decision a little bit quicker, and sometimes that kind of saves you from talking yourself out of a card and whatnot. Um, so the one of the potential pitfalls of forcing a draft is that the archetype just might not be open, and you're really hurting the power level of your deck. Just to have a slight disclaimer here, what does it take for you to kind of pull the ripcord and pivot out of the deck you're forcing? Just yeah, I mean that's it. Like, is there once you commit, do you normally just commit and that's it, whether it's there or not, or have there been times where you tried to force something and just realize, okay, this is really not open at all?
Yeah, there are times that that happens. Like, I see that color good in pack one, it's fine. Pack two, it gets a little bit strange. There's like good power cards in a different color or faction, and you try to wanna be shifting to that direction, but you're still strong headed, and you'll say, I can still get in pack 3 and 4. Then when you do your pack 2, when it's over, you go to pack 3 and it's completely barren. It's like, oh no, what have I put myself into? And then you just try to get as much cards that can help with your deck, and try not to be that greedy in faction wise and influence wise. But in the end, sometimes it can be a bit of a subpar deck, but sometimes it can also work. Usually, when you're trying to force a deck, you just need to have a clear view on what you want that deck to be, barring in pack one, barring like pack 2, 3, and 4. Hopefully, you can get there, hopefully not. But in the end, if you still draft suboptimally and like get a suboptimal deck, you can still you can still improve the power of your deck by just playing it correctly, and don't do greedy plays or try to not overthink the deck of the opponent. Just try to stick with what you're trying to do with your deck.
Okay. So we've mentioned a couple of the potential pitfalls, right? What you wouldn't do it if you didn't feel like there was a benefit to it. So tell us what you find the benefits are when that has led you to consistently force archetypes or decks or factions in this format. Like, what are the payoffs that you've seen success with and has caused you to essentially swim against the current?
Recently, like, I've seen drafters not not be that keen on like fire decks or stone scar decks in general. Like, they're mostly in the curve of the meta, which is Horu. Like, Horu more on justice. Like, just get your big justice guys and have your valiant leaps, your stuns, and combat tricks. Like, I tried to do that. I tried to force myself just to go Horu and see how it works out, and I have had abysmal results with it. Right now, I've been trying to force Stone Scar decks, which has had a great result for me. Like, I think I sent to the Farming Eternal podcast 2 or 3 7-win Stone Scar decks, and one of it was 7-0. Oh wait, no, two of it was 7-0, because you can see like there's a great rare, then you can see Rust Machine. Is my rare good enough to carry the deck, or is that uncommon? Maybe having multiple of those uncommons better in a forced draft deck or whatnot. The pitfalls is like, yeah, if you can't clearly see what you want in that deck, and you're just trying to force it just to force it, and just getting like bad cards, it really sets you up to not a great record. Like you can get like at the most 3 wins, I guess. But don't get me wrong, like forcing a draft deck has has given me bad results. In a span of you guys seeing me have like a 7-win draft, there's a lot of 0-win drafts there as well, or like I can't even break a 3-3 record.
Oh, IP, real quick. Do you ever go into the draft like if a deck has been working for you and you're like, all right, I'm gonna pick the best Stone Scar card? Like for me, I swear I had a few drafts in a row that it looked like I was forcing Huru, but I swear I wasn't. Um, like, is there ever a deck that you think is powerful enough that whatever lane of that deck that you drafted, it's good enough to, get 5, 6, or 7 wins?
Yes, yes, I can agree to that. Like if a previous faction like Stone Scar or like Combre before did good to me, I'll try to force it and still see if it was just luck, or if this can be a good thing for the draft meta right now.
Do you always try to lock in, or yeah, lock in a deck in pack one, or do sometimes you decide to zero in on a deck and force it out of pack two?
Mostly in pack one, I lock in a color, and then in pack two, I'll try to lock in the faction.
All right. I think that will cover the broad stroke side of it, like the bigger picture things. John, do you have any more questions for IP as far as that goes before we go into specifics?
I don't know, like if you're about to cover this, but I'm just curious if this is your approach to like all Eternal draft formats, or if this is more of like something that you've found to work specific to Argent Depths.
Good
Uh,
question. Good question.
with regards to that question, John, it's like it forcing a draft deck really is specific to this format, Argent Depths, because in the previous format, Echoes of Eternity, I've had a looser time just to pick any card that I want, and just like the fixing was great and everything. You can just try to like have 5 faction good stuff in the previous format, which right now in Argent Depths, it gives you more advantage being mono or like 2 factions due to how the way Argent Depths works. With the inclusion of the new Trailmaker, not new, the new inclusion to the to the draft format, which was Trailmaker, it can help you splash into more things. And I guess also Changey Stick, which was lovingly called Splashy Stick, is a really good splashable card as well.
Yeah, it's just like super interesting because if you're going to have a successful mono deck in this format, which admittedly, when I've seen them go off, they're like some of the most powerful decks I've seen. You kind of got to go for it like early and just pick the faction, get lucky with some early powerful cards. So I can see why for this format specifically, like forcing the issue is working more than other formats because normally that's totally not the case. Like you don't force stuff, normally.
Yep, I can agree with that.
Yeah, essentially, it also fixes your influence as well, right? Or your power base, because we're seeing now even sometimes if you're going really heavy on those 3 and 4 influence cards, sometimes even a 2-color deck has some weird power issues versus if you just lean really heavy into one or are able to lock in the monocolor, man, your curve feels so much smoother when you don't have to worry about having the correct influence for your mid and late game.
Yeah, it lets you cheat on how much power you put in a deck sometimes too, because you don't need to worry about more than one faction, you know?
Yep.
But one card that really stands out if you're trying to do monocolor in this format right now is Prism Golem. Like, can you imagine? You're just like mono fire, mono shadow, mono primal, and then you get a 5/5 for 3. Like,
Yeah,
that's super value.
I'm glad you meant, because that's like the card that pulls you into mono, kind of, and then you just try to fight the most powerful cards after those. But even those, you kind of got to go for it early if you want super power level on those, you know?
Yes, I can agree with that.
I feel like in the current iteration of the format where I'm seeing more third color splashes, I actually feel if they're in the packs, you can pick up a couple later in pack 4 just because of that fact that, you know, if you have three factions in your deck, you have the chance of just making it a 1/1 for 3, which is horrible. But I do agree, like the last draft I did, I took a Prism Golem early and almost tried to force Mono Justice. Sadly, Justice was nowhere near open in pack 2, so I had to abandon that. But I literally went into pack 2 with I think 10 or 11 Justice cards to include a Prism Golem. So Ivy, do you think part of the reason why you can also do it in Argent Depths is because we've been in this format for such an extended period of time where we haven't been seeing the usual mid set pack flip, right, where they change the order of the packs? Do you think more people are essentially trying to explore some niche archetypes or make their decks a little spicier because they're bored, and that's why you could potentially just streamlining these decks, or that really doesn't play a role in what you're seeing?
Yeah, I guess like I've seen streamers, drafters, try to be more cheeky with the drafting. Like they're trying to do other stuff where there's like a completely better card than it.
All right, let's dive a little bit deeper and a little more specific. What you've mentioned Stone Scar a lot and then did dabble into Combre to some success as well. What are some of the archetypes that you like most in this current format?
Definitely Stone Scar and Combray, Combray ramp and Stone Scar aggro. I guess earlier when people weren't on Horu, I was still having success on Horu, but right now because a lot of people are playing Horu, like I end up having suboptimal cards. But usually you can find me playing any sort of deck with fire in it or time. Like those are two of my successful factions in draft right now.
What are some of the cards that stand out to you that pull you into those archetypes or those factions?
For time specifically, Omen Scar Worm, June Worm, uh, it's an 8 drop, 8/8. If you get any type of influence, you can draw a card. Usually, when I draft, I can have at least 2 Omen Scar Worms, and I know I know it's kind of bad because you can try to mill yourself out or deck yourself out, and I have won some games with me literally to zero cards in deck and just winning with the last push on the turn. For fire decks, usually it's corrosive daggers in pack 1, corrosive daggers and rust machine, as well as battle driver. For pack 2 and 3, like touch of force and flash fire really helps.
Yeah, I like Flashfire. I think Flashfire is very powerful and limited. It just deals so much damage. It's hard for your opponent to play around it. There's so few ways to get face Aegis or counter spells. So I think Flashfire is a fantastic finisher, which is kind of similar to Darkfire, right? They both have their plus and minuses, I guess, or pros and cons.
Yeah, Darkfire really wasn't a high card for me, even if it was Stone Scar or Monofire before, because like I really don't like spells that need you to have creatures on in play to make it work. But yeah, in the previous stream I had like earlier in the month or late last month. Like Alex that Herman convinced me to play even just one or two, and and right now I'm on that track. Like Backfire is so good. It gains you life, and it's also a way to get face damage in.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's turn it around the other way. Actually, one thing on that, so you mentioned Omen Scarworm. Does something like either Disappear, Sage of Sands, or even Desert Alchemist, any of those cards pull you into time?
Disappear not so much right now. Like right now when they made the new changes to the draft packs in packs 2 and 3, I've had more of like steering away from like big dudes because of changy stick. Like you trying to ramp up to 7 power, play a big dude, then opponent that has 7 power, so and just changes your big to a dude to a 1/1, and he can get flying. It's kinda depressing. But yeah, I guess alchemist helps me go to time. It's like you can just treat it as a removal sage of sense. Really is, as I said in the earlier of the show, great. Disappear for me, not so much. I would rather get a reality snap instead of a disappear. But like, yeah, the rarities like from uncommon to common are really huge.
All right. So, since you mentioned some of the things that you find depressing, what are your least favorite archetypes or cards to draft in this current format? Things that you try to actively stay away from for our listeners.
Right now, I know like people will be a bit que- I will be questioning of my thought opinion, but like I haven't had great success with Felon, even though like there are lots of articles there. Uh, Credit to Shop for getting people more interested in drafting, but like I can't make Felon work that much, as well as Elysian, Primal and Time. And I'm not so high with Valley Clan Sage. Like for me it's more of a force card. Like it's a card that's forcing you to do a lot of things, and you need to make your deck be built around it.
Vaderman drew 3 out of 4 cards with Valley Clan Sage against me. Side note.
See, I don't know, and
Wow.
Wow.
I'm very much still on the boat that it's pay 4 mil 1.
No, I agree. I was like, oh my gosh, he's drawing cards with this stupid guy.
Yeah, I will admit, I think the O5 body does a lot more work than we give it credit for, because I know sometimes it's completely stopped my aggression where I'm like, oh my god, this thing has saved them like 16 points of life. But, you know, that's about the extent of it. It's still one of the first 2 drops I look to cut sometimes, unless I really feel like my deck wants to be slow and go into the late game. You know, and it's not horrible that it eats up a rampage, because with Might Weaver in the format, that Might Rampage is extremely scary. So if they're getting it out of the way early on my 2 drop, I'm kind of happy about that. But I'm with you guys. I'm a little higher on it than I used to be at the start of the format. I'll look back. That'll be one of the cards we'll have to look back and see what we originally rated it. But it's still not very high for sure. Is there anything else that you try to actively avoid, or is it just Felon? Because I do agree, the Felon deck is still a very slow deck for sure. Unless you get to curve out with a couple of flyers like the Serpent on turn 2, and things like that, I do feel like the deck lacks a little bit. But man, sometimes when you give the that Rampager, make it a 6/5 flyer, it feels pretty darn good.
Well, I can also say that I would put Elysian lower than Found, because like those two colors could be better than other decks instead of this. Like I can have like Pombre instead, or like Praxis instead of Elysian. And for the time side of the faction, for the Primal, I would pick Found better because it has removal and recursion. And I guess Skycrag, if you can make it work, like Skycrag go wide is a good him to play with. Like if you can get those early steam blasts in, Skycrag looks really good.
All right then. So just to get a more in-depth breakdown of exactly how you force your drafts, we're gonna go ahead, and I do recommend you guys checking it out on YouTube where I have the video version, but we're gonna follow you through a draft, and then so just be a little broad, bigger picture with the first couple of packs, maybe 2 or 3, and then after that you could probably just call out the cards that you're looking at for our listeners. But yeah, without further ado, this is how IP attacks the format.
So first we got here, it's rare Tasbu the Tempter, 5/5 for 4, 5 influence. Whenever it goes into the void, you can steal the enemy's void and put it back into your deck. All the creatures and weapons get +2/+2. Doesn't seem too great of a rare. What I'm trying to see right now is in this pack is Rush Machine or Caravan Guard. Like these are the two cards that really stand out for me in the pack. I know Rust Machine is the only fire card here, so might be good in the next picks, might be not, but overall in power, I would pick Rust Machine because due to its rarity and like I can pick up another Caravan Guard maybe in the next few picks, and the 3/5 is okay, but like this is a 3/2 that can ramp you for one turn and give you more creatures if you can cast a 5 or more casting spell. Rindra, Corrosive Daggers, Darkfire. Uh, Let me see. I have 4 Rindras now, so I don't need it. I'm thinking this works well with Rust Machine, Corrosive Dagger. Darkfire may be good later, but I put high priority with Corrosive Dagger just to try and force a mono faction or my favorite Stone Scar deck. Stone Scar Val, Hard Gun,
Fine, dude. It's a
Shot, or a Grizzly Contest. Huh. Might be Hard Gun. Not really that keen onto it. I Stone Scar Val maybe for fixing, maybe not. Resort Quick Shot's okay. Grizzly Contest okay. Uh, Broadsword or Battery Mage? Nah. I'll try to force the Stone Scar still, so I'll get the Hired Gun. Okay, so there's a lot of shadow cards. This is working out. False Demise just for recursion of my creatures. Midnight Hunt, but we try to go more in fire. Or Grizzly Contest just for removal. We've seen a Grizzly Contest before, so it might reel back. I'll get the. I'll try to get the False Demise. Eager Deputy or Trail Torch Cinderfall. Guess I can go with Eager Deputy just to help. And now we can still go into Mono Fire because of Prison Golem, so I guess I can still go with it. Midnight Hunt. Shambler works in a Stone Scar deck, so I guess it's fine. Shadow Symbol. Cinderpaw because we need 4 drops. Warple Cutter's good.
Roll Enforcer being the last pick, going straight to the pool.
Yes, because I don't like it in the Stone Scar deck. Uh, hmm.
So here, if we're staying the look on, staying in, looking to stay into Stone Scar, you have Devouring Shadow, Ruinous Burst, Recogulator, and then Bane Wolf.
Yeah, no question here.
Versus something like a Crown Watch Paladin and Dairy Cathane, Ripclaw Rider, the 0/4 rare 2-drop.
Yeah, Devouring Shadow's the pick for me here. It's removal and like it's still in our colors. Flame Conjuring though. Windvolt? Sure. Oh no. Like It's not really a good cards, but I'll still force it.
Taking the tumble brag here.
I know this is not a good card, but we need to have a curve, and we don't have 2 drops right now, so I guess I'll make it up with 1 drops and 2s later if I get it.
Taking the 1/2 fallen Oni.
So like it
Yeah.
forces you a little bit when you're forcing to like pick subpar, whatever, 2 drop, 3 drop, 4 drop, just to fill your curve a little bit.
Yeah.
But essentially, Stone Scar is that kind of deck. Like you just need to have a good curve on it, I guess.
For this pack here, we're looking at Direwolf Rampager and Contaminating Ritual are the 2 on-color cards, and then off-color we're seeing Seraph's Choice, Rebuke, and Metal are probably the next higher picks here. So are you just taking I would assume the Rampager for top end?
Yeah, and we're forced enough that we can't do much. I'll get a Rampage here because it works with Cutter and Shambler and Cinderpaw.
Yeah.
I'll just
So the only card in this pack here you're looking at is Waystone, Amethyst Waystone.
yeah,
right.
you're right.
So you picked up the Fire Conjuring earlier. You see a Rally is the only thing. It looks like time's going to be open in this, and you're still just going to go ahead keep pushing the Stone Scar here.
Yeah, we're still pushing. I'll just take out the Wisp because, like I said, I try to hate on cards. We're being serious, even though I like the Shift Stone here. But yeah, I'll just get the Shift Stone. Like,
yeah, there's absolutely nothing. Yeah, so I'm definitely getting the vibe here that at least in this pack, that time was way open. We saw decent time cards all the way through the pack.
well,
right.
we got
you got rewarded there. You opened up an Ashara. You clicked it fast. I couldn't see what else was in the pack, but yeah, Ashara, the 6/3 deadly quick draw for 5, obviously rewarded there. It looks like you're going to be firmly in Stone Scar then.
Yeah, and then we get a Brawler as another top end. We get another
Shadow. Slow down just a little bit because remember we have the listeners. So yeah, in this pack,
before the draft even started,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we have Devouring Shadow, and this is pick 3 for pack 3. We have Devouring Shadow, Recogulator, Rampage, and Pit Fighter are the on-color options here. So like I said, I'm pretty sure you're locked into Stone Scar now. So you looking at the removal or the pump spell?
I'm getting the removal.
Okay, taking the Devouring Shadow. Okay, and yeah, now it looks like fire is going to be open this pack here. So we're seeing a Rampage, a Dust Hoof Brawler, both in the pack, as well as a Barbarian Camp, and to lesser extent the Razor Pain Hellkite. I completely forgot that was even in the format.
Yeah.
So are you looking at the Brawler here or the Rampage?
It's either Brawler or Rampage, but we have enough of a top end, but we still lack creatures. I think we can go for the Rampage here, and hopefully we can get more cards in pack 4 for creatures.
All right, this pack here, you have Centaur, Outrider, Bane Wolf, Contaminating Ritual, Fallen Oni, and then pretty late Strange Navigator, which is the 3/2 for 2 Xenon that lets you pay 9 and get, 3 cards? 5 units from your Void back in your hand. Do you think that card is powerful enough to worth splashing, or are you just firmly in Stone Scar, not even looking at it?
I'm not looking at it, aside from it being Shift Stone.
Okay.
I'll just get Fallen Oni here just to be more aggressive because we're locked up in 3s, 4s, and 5s. We need to supplement our missing 2 drops. But I won't take Tactic.
Yep, so you have here in this pack, you have Tactic, Ruin, and Contaminating Ritual. And you already said that you're not going to take Tactic. So do you even take the Ritual or the Ruin, or are you just going to go for the uncommon for Shift Stone?
I'll just get the Ritual because it may work with the Vorpal Cutter just to eke in the last bits of damage. I guess I'll...
Blazing Renegade or Gorgon Cutthroat?
Renegade, like I need the 2 drops.
Helpful Doorbot and Lunging Wisp.
Lunging Wisp. Like, this is one of the pitfalls you get when you're trying to force stuff.
Helpful Doorbot Barbarian Camp is one of our last picks here, going into pack pick 9.
I'll get the Barbarian Camp just in case.
Timekeeper, Unity Within, and Cult Recruiter. So yeah, time was definitely open in this direction for sure. Metal, Worn Shield, just taking the metal. And Xenon Augury is the last pick. All right, let's see if pack 4 can bring it together for you. Here on the Stone Scar, you're looking at Etchings, Trail Torch, Cinderpaw, Relentless Pursuit, Chemical Rounds, and a Midnight Hunt. There's also a Prize Sow and a Torn of Filth, but I don't remember ever. I think the only time I've drafted a Sow was when I had Severin and Torn of Filth. I don't think I've ever drafted.
For me, this is going to be a Chemical Rounds, nothing else.
Okay. Yeah, getting some of the lower blockers out of the way. Eager Deputy and Shadow Etchings for pick 2. Pack 4, pick 2 is about the only thing. And a Beseech. There's a Beseech. You have Beseech, Eager Deputy, and Shadow Etchings.
Eager Deputy here.
All right. All right. You have a Steam Rider, the 3/3 for double fire. You have Silverblade Reaper and a Fire Symbol. Of note, there's Oobsat. So time was being thrown at you. Maybe both directions. We'll see.
Yeah. I guess Steam Rider. Just need to get the creature count up.
Okay. Interesting there, considering that you have at least one dagger for the symbol. So here, Razor Lash, Desert Alchemist, and Overheating Minibot. And there's a Towering Arachnid as well.
Wow, this is a lit from below. Why would nobody pick it?
Feln here, and I'd be playing this Primordial.
Yes.
Yeah, no joke.
I
don't think Primal was open in either direction, correct?
Yeah, it wasn't.
That's to pick 2 Rendra.
Yeah, pick 2 Rendra.
And here he's getting past Primordial.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
pick
later
4.
Pick 4. Yeah, but still, I don't know. Like, I wanted to make Rust Machine work, forcing it and we had a bit of a good streak in pack 1. Like, I guess I'll get Arachnid just to make these 1-drops work. It's a 5/2, and it can help fix our mana or let me draw from too much power. Well, Patroller here is okay.
Yeah, Flameheart Patroller, Stone Scar Vow, and then another Desert Alchemist.
Well, time was really open.
Oh my gosh, another, what is that, 3-4 Desert Alchemist? There's Darkfire, Roland's Enforcer, and Vorpal Cutter, all great picks. Well, Darkfire and Vorpal Cutter. Enforcer really doesn't work in Stone Scar at all, but so you at least get 2 decent pickups here.
Vorpal Cutter or Darkfire? I'll get the Cutter.
That's really?
What? The Cutter?
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's an easy Darkfire.
Well, it's actually interesting. It's actually interesting because they're. I mean, yeah, I guess you do have enough they are both high attack matters cards. You know what I mean? So that's kind of interesting. But I guess you do have a decent amount of high attack units. Here it's just
like these fallen Onis and lunging wisps.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just gonna plunder them all to his Arachnid, right? That's all. He's just always gonna draw his Arachnid.
Like when I saw that when I was thinking that if I took this Vorpal Cutter, Alex would have said something, and I was correct.
Yep, you were correct.
You listen to the show, man. You know our draft opinions.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, there you go. Another Prism Golem or a Lurking Brute. There you go. That's a decision, right? Do you want a 3/3 for 3? Or do you want a 2/2 for 2 that could get bigger?
I went to 2/2 for 2.
Wow. Grizzled Quick Shot is about the only thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so much time. Sand Tornado, Brightling, and Battery Mage.
And another
Vorpal Cutter.
There was a mono time deck.
Yeah, there was a mono time deck available, and we forced a different deck.
Okay, so how do you feel about the deck?
Average. Really average. Let me do some cuts first. I don't want Barbarian Camp anymore.
So, out of 1 to 10, where do you put this deck at, and how does this relate to how you normally force? Just to give the audience kind of like a range, so to speak.
Right now, personally, it might be a 6. I just got the 2 drops in the later packs, which didn't help that much. Ashara. Well, if Ashara wasn't here, it's gonna be a 4. Like Ashara really helped me be a good average Stone Scar deck. Um, Disclaimer for the audience: like, don't do force drafting if you don't know what you're doing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
look at what happened.
The
But
the other thing
like,
too that I'm surprised on not taking the Darkfire is the fact that you do have a Rust machine as well.
yeah, that was like an issue as well. I could have gotten Darkfire, but in that scenario, I was looking for more creatures because all my spells were lined up. Like I usually try to get 6 to 8 spells, and I was like on 9 right now.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't expecting to get more creatures out of pack 4, so I was just trying to help help my deck not to be a 0-3 deck.
Yeah, I got you. That being said, though, I mean, I think everyone that's drafted a decent amount has come across that where you have a deck that you think is a 9 out of 10 and it goes 1 and 3, and then you have a deck that you're like, well, let's hope we can get 3 and 3 out of it, and you end up going 6 and 3 or even 7 and 2 with it. So sometimes that's the fun part about limited. Things just kind of line up in your favor or whatnot. But John, where would you rate this deck in your experience?
Like if I just have to assign a number to it, I mean, I don't know, 4, like 4 or 5. Like you said, Ashara brings it up a notch. Like that was a really lucky open, I think. Like I think like if you're trying to be aggressive, this is like all of your early creatures are like basically not even units, unfortunately. Like
Yeah,
you
unfortunately.
have some good like mid and late game units and stuff, and your spells are good, but man, that early game is super like I don't know. I'm suspicious.
I'm suspicious of it as well.
Yep.
But like, hopefully, I'll keep you guys posted. What's the record of this?
Yep.
Hopefully, I can
Yeah,
get at least 3 wins with it. Hopefully,
Easy,
I'll just,
easy
I bet
7.
you can get 3 wins for sure.
yeah,
Just with the quality of some of these other cards, but
Yeah. I mean, and
yeah,
then you have the removal. It just thinks that you have. Yeah, that 2 drops out is looking a little scarce. But like I said, with Devouring Shadow and Rampage and Chemical Rounds, I think if you could definitely get a little bit of momentum in the early game and then just have your top end finish it off for you. Alex, where are you at on this one?
I was like thinking a 5,
Yeah.
and then in the hands of IP, probably a 6, and easy 7 wins. We'll see it
Mhm.
on the list later.
Yeah, like I definitely don't think it's a train wreck. You know what I mean? It's a little unfortunate the time was like really open, but I don't think this deck is a train wreck at all. It's very much like what John said, where everything looks normal except for that 2 eager deputies and 2 fallen Oni. But I mean, but then again, you have the Lurking Brute, the Flame Patroller, and to a certain extent the Arachnid. So it's really only the Fallen Onis that you really wanted to be some other kind of 2 power, 2 drop or something like that. But
yes.
yeah,
Like, also maybe like I'll just treat Fallen only like a creature removal because it does mill the top unit of a deck.
yeah,
So I guess it's fine.
I'm
sweet.
also just extra biased. I think Stone Scar is probably like my least favorite faction in the current format. So there's like a personal bias too.
Yeah,
I can't escape.
I need either Weaver or a Battle Driver
Yeah.
to really lock in Stone Scar for me. Sometimes
Hmm.
I feel like, but All right, that was interesting. I appreciate that draft, IP. And once again, if we did go a little fast through it, obviously IP did mention that he kind of speed drafts on his own, and we could see why. But you can check out the video version and see everything on screen on the YouTube version of the show if you aren't already watching it. But all right,
I think we did it under 15 minutes, right? Or under 10. I didn't.
We are roughly about 15 minutes by the timestamp. But all right, guys, that's going to do it for our main topic, i.e. forcing draft decks. And like you can see, sometimes it pays off and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's somewhere in between. So to each their own, I guess. If you really like a deck, then have at it if the cards are there. Longno ended up finishing the draft with a 5-3 record, with one loss going to a game-ending punt. This leads us to our what's the play for the episode. This one is kind of an A or B, but I think the thought process behind it is quite interesting. I could be wrong. I could think that there's a decision and it's really not. Everyone picks the same one, but we'll find out. This is a little bit of a complex board state, but the decision I think will make it easier for our listeners to listen to. After that speed draft, we are found, surprise, surprise, going up against Skycrag. Our opponent is at 14 life. We are at 22 life, which will come into play here in a moment. The board state consists of a 2/2 Berserk Evangel, a 2/1 Yeti Taunt Patrol that pings us every time Surge, Battle Driver, which is the 3/3 for 4 that pay 2. Once per turn, you can pay 2 to give another unit plus attack and overwhelm equal to the amount of units you have in play. 4 2/1 ponies, a 2/5 Hardy Warrior, and then a 12/3 attacking. Man, I forgot the name of it now, but the air elemental that gets attack equal to your primal influence. It is a 12/3
Primal
overwhelm.
Incarnation?
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Primal Incarnation. It is currently attacking as a 12/3 overwhelm because it received the trigger, the activate ability from Battle Driver. Our side of the board is a 2/2 Quick Draw Evangel, the 2/2 Trumpeter Yeti, a 1/1 Exhausted Humbug, Illusion, I'm sorry. The Illusion, the 1 Primal Plunder card, a 5/2 Unblockable Tentaclesis, and a 1/1 Toctic that has not revenged yet. In our hand, we have the Transmute, the Felon Transmute, the Primordial, that is the 4/8 for 6 triple primal, triple shadow. And at the beginning of your turn, you get a 3/1 ooze with killer. And then a Grizzly Contest, which is the 3 shadow fast spell. Sacrifice a unit to kill an opponent's unit with revenge. So I'll go ahead and cut to the chase here. The big decision point here is we are at 22 life. Our opponent is essentially attacking us right now for 12. That will take us down to 10, so more than half of our life total in one swing. We do know that the Incarnation will die after this attack because that's what the Battle Driver trigger does. I'm sorry, I don't think I mentioned it. Yep, it gives attack and overwhelm based on the number of units you have, but at the end of the turn, that unit is sacrificed regardless of what happens during combat. We are lacking the 6 power to play our Primordial next turn. We do have the 3 power open this turn, plus multiple targets to sack with the Grizzly Contest that will go back onto the top of our deck somewhere. The question here is whether we go ahead and attempt to take out the 12/3 to save us on 12 damage and run the risk of our opponent being able to activate the Battle Driver on something else again next turn, or if we just take the 12 and take out the Battle Driver, essentially taking out both units here but dropping down to 10. So you're our guest, so starting off with you, Longno, what would you do here?
I think by looking at the board state right now, I would take the 10 because it essentially just kills the creature. You don't need to contest an already dead creature at the end of the turn. You have a you have fewer creatures than the opponent. I'm just thinking what to sack for the contest just to kill Battle Driver off. I guess you can use Tactic to kill the Battle Driver using Grizzly Contest, and hopefully, if you're a good revenge player, it can come back next turn just to help with blocking. If you do get a power, you can also open up your Primordial, which is gonna be backbreaking against the opponent. Yeah, I would do Grizzly Contest, sacking Tactic, killing Battle Driver, take the 12 damage, go down to 10. Opponent loses 2 creatures while you revenge your Tactic back.
Okay, sounds good. By the way, I'm totally gonna take that now. I'm gonna put that on a shirt. Are you a good revenge player?
Yeah, I heard that too. I like that. That was
Uh,
funny.
I like that. What kind of a revenge player are you? All right, Alex, since you went ahead and chimed in first, buddy, what are you gonna do here?
Well, shout out to Raven Dragon, great limited player. She played the battle driver this turn and activated, right? It wasn't on the board already.
Correct.
Okay. That's my exact line. I was trying to do the math on if you let the battle driver stay alive. It's just so risky. I mean, she has 2 cards in her hand. She can easily get like another card that's going to push damage over, especially in this color with the spell that does damage to your face for how many units you have.
Steam Blast.
Yeah, Steam Blast. Thank you. So I would do the exact same thing. Just take the 12, kill the battle driver with the Tactic, and then hope that your 3-turn clock is gonna be enough. If you don't draw, I mean, if you draw another power, you're good, right? But yeah, I do the exact same line. I don't
Yeah.
really see much difference that you can do.
Okay. Yeah, of note, right, that Skycrack has at the very least 3 different ways, actually 4 different ways to get rid of Tentaclesis with Pillage, Chemical Rounds,
True.
Biting Winds, and Lightning Strike at the very least. Not to include, I mean, obviously there's still Darkfire and what's the Char to a lesser extent.
I mean,
So
you do have 2 revenge things coming up if it does die.
mhm.
You know.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. John, do you have anything to add?
I don't even see another line.
Okay. All right. All right. Like I said, I guess I'll bite the bullet on this one here. I thought maybe it might have been a closer decision, but yeah, I think we all respect the power of Battle Driver way too much, and just need to get it off the board to include taking essentially over half our life total in damage, but hopefully being able to hold the ground after that, because really everything else on that side of the board is kind of a little lackluster. I think the biggest deciding factor is just the fact that the Battle Driver activate ability kills the unit at the end of turn anyways, so there's that. So all right, cool, fair enough. I'll try to dig deeper and find some more in-depth lines. It's so hard to do when I'm in the middle of the game and streaming or whatnot, but I'll try to stomp you guys next week.
That's
it's
nice to have a consensus for once.
Yeah, consensus, and it's like it's kind of like your gut reaction be like, "Ooh, I need to take out this thing that's going to take down more than half of my
Sure.
life," you know. But really, no. If you look at it closely, no, that's not the right play.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, for all of us, that's like definitely the play. But I mean, I would bet plenty of other people, do just want to kill this, thing that's dealing, like you say, more than half your life total to you right now. So it's definitely worth talking about.
Oh, the other
I mean-
thing too is just the fact that, like Alex mentioned, we have the influence for Primordial, so we just need a power off the top, and then, I mean, granted, we will have to wait an entire turn until we get the 3/1 killer, so they still get one more activation minimum of the Battle Driver, so that makes it pretty scary. So
I mean, the only thing that punishes you is if your opponent has chemical rounds for your Tentacles. Like,
mhm.
it's a 3-0, and even though goes back to your hand after the Destiny works out, you can't play it. Like, that's the only thing I can see right now that can really punish you
Yeah,
with that play.
sweet. But all right, that's gonna be our what's the play for the week. taking us into our final segment, which is Constructed Corner. So no deck this week. We did get a new promo card that has some of the brewing community up in arms because it is quite interesting. So I figured we can talk about this and see what potentially IP and John have in store for this card, if they like it or don't like it and whatnot. It's completely free to get. All you have to do is win your first game of the day for this week, and you will get one per day, so you have a chance of getting all 4. After the week is done, you will be able to craft this card. I think promos are 800 shiftstone. I don't remember quite off the top of my head.
That sounds correct.
Yeah, it's either 600 or 800, something like that. I
feel. Oh yeah, it might be 6. That might be right.
Yeah, yeah. It's under a rare, right? Just under a rare or at a rare, something like that. So, anywho, once again, might as well get them for free. So this is Deleth's Awakening. This is a 1-cost Xenon slow spell. Create a copy of each card in your deck with a different name and shuffle them into your deck. Then draw a card for every 10 cards in your void. So essentially, it will just give you an extra copy of every card in your deck. One of. So if you have a 4 of, it will just make 1 copy of that card. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to insult your guys' intelligence. Essentially, if it has a different name, it makes a copy of it, adds it to your deck. So there you have it. So once again, sending it over to you, IP, since you are our guest. What is this something that you're looking to brew with? And if so, what are you trying to do with it? Or do you think it's just simple card advantage? I mean, it's not really card advantage. You're spending a card, and well, you do get to draw a card. I don't know. Anywho, IP, what do you think, man?
I don't know, man. Like, I don't really know. Like, you draw a card for every 10 cards in your void. So it's like a reverse incursion requirement. Well, like, I guess it's like a poor man's recursion requirement, savage incursion requirement. Create a copy of each card in your deck with a different name and shuffle them into your deck. Like, it's also one of the things I don't like about it. It's gonna be an unpopular opinion, but I think it's like gonna be like one of the things I don't like about Savage Broker. Is that right? Savage.
Yes.
What's the
Wasteland Broker.
Wasteland Broker. Like, it shuffles 3 more cards to your deck. Yeah, you can create more copies of a card into your deck, but you're filling up your deck with, I guess, unnecessary cards that you're trying to dig for the card you want, but you added 1 more copy of that card you want, but you added some more unnecessary stuff, which will be which will take you a long time to dig through your deck for it. I might tinker with it in a Reanimator deck in Throne. Like, it looks solid in a Xenon Reanimator deck, but for Expedition, I don't think so, because like right now the meta for Expedition is very open, and I don't want to put myself in a disadvantage by just putting more cards in my deck, even though I want to draw into the good stuff in my deck.
We do have a constructed tournament this weekend. It's going to be the Expedition Summer Championship, similar to what we had last weekend with the Throne Summer Championship. This is for the players that qualified with a minimum of 25 QCP points for the summer season. Anyone that earned 75 QCP or more will start out with 3 wins in the tournament. So they still have a total of 15 games to play, win or lose, but they have 3 wins on their record already. Any players are able to play in a short window span starting Saturday and ending Saturday, because once again, this should be a smaller player base. So they wanted to concentrate the time, be on the lookout for that. They did have a hiccup last week on it, but they did correct it, extending the time a bit. Now, all the players that make day 2 will go live on Twitch on the Direwolf channel for the top 64 breakdown. We saw last week it was XN5 was the cutoff to make day 2. We'll see if that is similar this week. But that pretty much covers it. Longno, what are some of the decks that you think are going to show up in the tournament this weekend?
I know that on ladders not indicative of what can be seen in the tournament, but in the expedition ladder right now, there's still Mono Primo that wins with Jarrao triggers or has Jarrao as the draw as a card draw engine. We have Skycrag aggro, which is still the same as last ECQ for expedition. We have Justice Kira, the Bane of the Throne meta, is having her time here in expedition. We have Karandon armory decks with Roland and backbreakers, as well as I think it's correctly called Mayiv. There's also World Power decks, time decks with a lead, and Xenon decks. But and oh wait, I forgot. There is still
I
also many shrine decks and FTS shrine decks or any kinds of shrine decks. So I think we can have a bit of a opinion that we can see like a portion of those decks in the expedition tournament.
Yeah, so long story short, it's a very healthy meta with a bunch of viable decks. So there's a good chance that people are able to play either A, what they think is the best deck, or also what they have the most fun playing. So good luck to everyone that participates this weekend. I know that some of us will be as well. So we'll see if I can avoid punting as much as I did in the last tournament. But all right, guys, I think that's going to do it and call it a show here. IP, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. We really do appreciate it, especially your take on something that I think is insightful, right? Something that's kind of off the beaten path that a lot of people don't talk a lot about, but you were able to shine some light on it. So thank you so much for that, brother.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me. And I hope that was insightful. I don't know.
Where can people find you at?
People can find me more on the the Eternal game in game name IPlongno. I've been thinking of doing a Twitch stream later in the year, maybe like November or December. It depends on the timetable. And yeah, you can find me at the EternalJourney Discord. I can pop in and chat with people, sometimes not, but usually it's like more of just messaging me in game.
All right. And then you did mention Shab earlier today. Shout out to Shab for doing some additional limited articles. So if you are a person that prefers the written version of information, you can check him out on both Eternal Warcry as well as his own WordPress site, which is Let's Talk Limited. And you can get various information on limited formats and archetypes and dynamics and the whole kit and caboodle there. So shout out to Shab for bringing limited to even more players. You can catch the video version of this show as well as other content on youtube.com/EternalJourney, or catch us streaming live every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday at twitch.tv/Jedi_EJ. Much like what IPlongno mentioned, you can join the Discord, the Eternal Journey Discord, link down below, where you can chat with other people about brewing decks, draft picks, etc., etc. 24 hours a day. We are international, so you can catch people at all the hours, even if they don't respond right away. John, Alex, thank you guys so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. As always, you guys bring great insight to the show. IP, you were great. Glad to have you as part of the team as well on the show. That's going to do it for us, guys. So until next time, as always, happy gaming.
Good night.
Night.
Good luck dodging IP in your draft views, everyone.
I guess it was like too fast a bit.
No.
Like
You punch Jedi out of the way like halfway through. You're like, shut up, Jedi! Boom, we're getting through this.
Like, quit booming, bro.
Move.
Quit describing these cards. You're slowing us down. Get out of here.
You're messing up the speed draft.
I told you it was a
You're messing up the speed draft, bro. It's a podcast.
I'm sorry, Jedi.
Like there was one pick where you just straight up, oh yeah, that card's great. Click. It's
Like I
You're
literally
like,
didn't